another tool that I really enjoy is quotes and affirmations. You know, those are great things to have on your mirror or just in the back of your mind, a favorite one that you know you can reference that will be like, okay, I need to get out of that rut. This will pump me up. You know, this is my go-to quote when I'm feeling like this.
Yeah. You know, I think that that's another one that people downplay so much. You know, we all do. Because it's something like affirmations, once again, is so simple, quotes and affirmations. It's like, well, what's a quote and affirmation going to do for me, really? It's just so simple. But all it is it's a positive statement, right, that we're repeating over and over and over again, and we're beginning to identify with. So it's sitting right at the top of our head, cocked and loaded and ready to go. On the moment we run into a challenge, an unexpected challenge, right? It's sitting right there so we can retrieve it when we need it the most. It's powerful stuff. And you know, as you talk about that, I'm actually reminded of the band that I'm wearing here on my wrist. It's a powerful affirmation. It says, fight like a girl, okay? And it might seem kind of funny that I'm wearing this, but it's a super powerful affirmation. Angel's best friend from Florida was diagnosed with breast cancer a couple years ago. She's in her mid-30s, a young baby. It caught her off guard on a random Tuesday afternoon, that diagnosis. Since then, she's gone through chemotherapy, she's gone through radiation therapy, and she's had a double mastectomy. It's been a long journey for her, undoubtedly. She printed these bands out and gave them to all of her family and her close friends as she was beginning this journey. And she said, this is my affirmation. I am going to fight like a girl. I'm going to fight as hard as I possibly can to get through this. And at the end, she said, you know, this really worked for me, and she really thanked us for being behind her with it, being behind her with that affirmation. You know, an idea like this was popularized by Lance Armstrong with his Live Strong campaign. You know, Live Strong wasn't a brand, it was an affirmation. He had bands just like this, and he would actually, I believe he flipped them like from one hand to the other, right, as he's like pedaling up a steep mountain in the French Alps. And he would say, live strong, flip that band to one hand to the other, live strong, Lance, I got this, right? That was his affirmation to himself. Super powerful stuff. Muhammad Ali, that's another one that comes to mind. Anybody know what Muhammad Ali's affirmation was? I am the greatest, right? That might sound a little pompous, I am the greatest. But the question is, who else was going to tell him that? And who else is going to tell you that? Who else is going to tell you that? You know, sadly, the truth is that throughout the course of our lives, we're going to run into hundreds, if not thousands of people who, for one reason or another, that have absolutely nothing to do with us, right? They're going to be all up in their own head, they're going to be having a bad day, and they're going to bump into us, and they're going to say something that knocks us down, that belittles us, that demeans our dreams, that really is like naysays everything that we're working for. And the key thing to remember here is, you don't have to be one of those people doing that to yourself, right? You can be the one who's saying, I'm going to fight hard to get through this, right? I'm going to live strong. I've got this. I am the greatest. I am plenty good enough. You know, I'm going to think better, and I'm going to live better. Like, that's something you can say to yourself.
Yeah, and this reminds me, in the bag that you received this morning, you'll have a white bracelet in there that says, think better, live better. And I want you to look at that bracelet, and I want it to remind you of today. I want that bracelet to remind you that your thoughts are extremely powerful. And so that if you can ultimately think better, you can live better. So you can use that as your affirmation.
Yeah, and this isn't stuff that's like, we're not trying to just invent things or just talk about common, like, you know, cliched positivity. You know, this has been scientifically proven. If you read any psychology, positive psychology book, time and time again, they say, if you have a control group and you have a group of people who live the same kind of life, that don't have anything like necessarily obvious going better for them, but at the end of every day, they sit down and they focus on the few small wins of the day, right? I drove home safely from work today. That could be a small win. I made it home safely, right? And they focus on just a few things every day before they go to bed. Those people are measurably happier at the end of a year, measurably happier. So it's extremely important stuff. A few years ago, as I was reading about all this, I started doing a little bit of that on my own, and then I came home one day, and we were riding high. We were having a lot of business success, a lot of great things happening in our personal lives, and I realized, you know, I don't always feel this way. I was feeling on top of the world. And so on that day, I sat down and I wrote a letter to myself. And it was really just a nice little intro and a bunch of bullet points that I'm even adding to today. And these were things that I was extremely grateful for. Things that I'm like, wow, like I am so happy that this is going well in my life. One of the things, not to be corny, was I married the right woman. Like I'm like super proud of that. Little, thank you. I did good with that one. I did very good with that one. Other ones, I mean, smaller things were I graduated from the university of my choice. When I was younger, that was something I aspired to do, and I got it done. Nowadays, some of the things I'm adding is I have a healthy baby boy at home, and I'm truly proud of that and the time I'm able to spend with him. But on days when, my ideas aren't working, on days when I just seem to be running into brick walls everywhere, I have the tendency to forget all of that stuff, right? And so I have this ongoing list that I wrote to myself, my kind of gratitude journal, so that I can read it on the days when I need it the most. And it really makes all the difference in my life. It's a simple tool that works wonders for me.
And I actually take that concept, but I do a little bit of a different spin on it. I have like a positivity journal that I write in. And it's mostly geared just towards my son. I keep track of like milestones, and if he did something funny and made me smile, I write that down. Because for those of you who have children, I'm new to this, so my son's a year and a half. Is extremely hard. I had no idea. And so there are really hard days and where it's like, gosh, I don't know if I can do this. Does anybody else feel this way? And so on those days, I love to pick up that journal, and I love to read the stories that I wrote in there. Like, oh, when he was, 9 months old, he started crawling. I love to pick up that journal and reference the good stories, the positive stories that I am putting in there, because it reminds me, you're having a bad day today and it's tough today, but it's not always tough. And the good, fun, positive days outweigh the negative days. So I take that same concept, but I put a little twist on it. So you can also do the same exact thing and put your twist on it and see what works best for you.